That was very weird on my end. I don't know what even happened. Huh. Huh. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Let me see. Yep, audio's good. I have no clue what just happened. I had an error on my end, guys. Yeah. Oh, hey, how is everybody doing? I hope you guys are having a great Wednesday, middle of the week. It's almost the weekend. 2 more days till the weekend, right? Right. Can't wait for myself. I know I'm streaming a little later. I usually stream mostly throughout. What is it? I mostly stream like in the morning, and occasionally I'll stream in the afternoon. I just haven't really been able to stream this week, mostly because my sleep schedule is kind of back to normal for once. Like I actually can sleep properly for a little bit. This is a good thing, right? Because I'm usually up pretty I'm pretty up late at night, editing a lot of the Locale Live videos, which again, you would think, oh, do they take long to edit? Not that they don't take long to edit. It's more like what it is it's not really the editing. Like, it's really not hard to edit these videos. Like, if anybody asks me, oh, is it hard? Like, no, it's just it just coming with my own thoughts and my own opinions about the situation, and also remembering to recap situation by situation, because a lot of the time, right, this is how I usually do things, right? I'll usually record, I usually get the clips right around when Nerds is playing, because when Nerds is around, Nerds doesn't usually do a lot of drama, or they cover a lot of drama. So I usually wait till Nerds comes around and I cover Nerds from there. Right? I start getting the clips, right? Mainly for Cafe, now Dolls, right? And because of that, and after, right, you know, as Nerd is streaming, right, maybe sometimes I'll record some stuff that goes on Nerds, and that's like a good couple minutes. And then after Nerds, right, after I'm done with Nerds, right, because then depending, right, by the time I get done and everything, right, with the voice recording, because sometimes I do need to take more than one take, mostly because this is just how I am. I don't speak the best, so I do my best to be more proper. And if anything, sometimes I go back and see if there's anything else I can clip, right? Because a part of it is like, you know, you want to extend the video long enough, but also like you don't want to make the video too long, right? It's like sort of a balancing, right? You want to make the video long enough, because the longer the video, the more likely YouTube is going to promote that, while at the same time, oh my god, he's around with son of a bitch. At the same time, I don't want to make it too long. I know I do put chapters throughout the video, so it helps. Why am I getting a lot of views? Okay, whatever. But so for anybody who's new, like and subscribe. Follow me if you want. We're slowly growing the potatoes. The potatoes are growing. But what was I saying? Yeah, but like because of that, right? And I know currently Cafe is going on. I was just watching a bit of Cafe to kind of get myself going and just get my day ready. Now on the other hand, I know there were some stuff I didn't cover. I woke up this morning, right, and I had a bit of Test playing and a bit of Ozzy playing in the background as I was sort of really getting my day ready. Because usually the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is like I make food, I get a smoothie, right? And from there, that's usually how my day begins. And I usually have like Cafe, or I'll have like something in the background playing. And you know, the little drama was between Billy and Nightmare, which isn't really new. I think their personalities are just gonna clash a lot. Nightmare, I would say, is a very sensitive individual compared to Billy, who comes more from like the Amazing Idea Drunken Peasant like group of people, where they're more aggressive, more kind of fuck your opinion type of people. Like, you don't believe me, you can watch those people. And obviously Billy is a guy who enjoys comedy. Now I don't really, I like a good laughter, whatever. Right? But in his dilemma, the current dilemma between them two was about the Welsh language and how Billy was sort of, I guess in Nightmare's head, Billy was mocking the Welsh language, right? Or not Billy, in Nightmare's head, Billy was mocking the Welsh language. Like the thing is, though, I think as an American, right, and especially given that Billy is from a more urbanized America, right, where urbanized Americans have a very different opinion, which is funny because they're very liberal, but that's not here or there. From what I understand, when it's coming to like European people in their language, is they're very dedicated to their language, to their culture, to their folk, right? And I can't blame Nightmare for getting upset about against Billy about that. I can't. I said in my video, I'm Spanish, right? I'm Hispanic, and my mom never really spoke the best English, right? Which weirdly enough shaped my opinions on certain things, but this isn't here and now about that. And I kind of understand where Nightmare is coming from that background. Now, obviously, Spanish is one of the most well-spoken languages in the world. Probably more spoken than even English, right? At least, even though Spanish is not the, I don't remember the exact term that he's using language. Franco something, which means like it's a language a lot of people speak as the way of communication, right? Like, it's sort of like, I speak this language because you speak this language because it's convenient for both of us, right? Maybe we should get an MP Palm. I never had an MP Palm. We're getting an MP Palm, lady. It's psychic? I didn't know that. We're still gonna capture it. Screw it, we're gonna capture it anyway. Oh, never mind. Yo, Karsher Panduru. What's up, man? How you doing? Apologies. Oh no, is it Krishna Pan? Apologies if I said your name wrong. Apologies in advance if I said your name wrong. But as I was saying about the Nightmare Billy situation, I thought about making a video. Maybe I'll still make a video on the situation between the both of them, because I think it's interesting. Like, the thing is about Billy is Billy likes comedy, he likes making jokes, but the problem is Billy also has a tendency of, well, I like making jokes, but I don't want to hurt people. So it kind of is like, in my opinion, kind of really fucking retarded. Sorry if I said, I don't give a shit. It's retarded because, like, how can you sit there and say, I like making jokes, even though some jokes are going to offend people? It's just, we could agree that comedy is a subjective thing, right? But then you go on about, like, I don't want to hurt people. You kind of look like a bitch no matter what you do, and then you get offended when people give you pushback on it. I'm sorry to say that, but like, I feel like you come out and looking like a bitch about it, and because you look like a bitch, I can't respect that. I would respect Billy more if he's like, hey, you know what, I make these jokes, I know it offends some people, it may hurt some people, but I'm sorry, this is how I am as a person, and I don't expect people to conform. Bro, I just found you randomly, why are you not playing trendy games? I just really don't. I mean, like, the only trending game I want to play right now is Call of Duty. I was playing, I'm playing, oh my god. I was going to originally do Dawn of War, but since they're going to re-release Dawn of War Remastered, and I'm probably going to actually play, and I think they're going to re-release, I think they're playing, you will get more views. I know I'll get more views. 100% I know. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm talking genuinely. Oh no, I believe you, man. I 100% believe you. I don't know. I'm always been about like older classic games. It's always like a comfort zone, right? Like, I think if I'm gonna play a newer game, like most newer games don't interest me that much. Like most newer games really don't. Like the only one that may catch my interest is Expedition 333 because that's a strategy game, but most games just don't catch my interest. It's a whole lot of like fluff and no substance, right? Like, what are the current games that are trending? Like, I play Call of Duty, right? Then there's, I'm trying to think of another game. Like, I don't even know any trending game. It's like Expedition 333 is the only one I could think of offhand that is trending. And yeah, that's the only game I could think of offhand. That's like legit the only game I could think of offhand. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there are more trending games. Like, I think the only other game I want to probably play on here soon is like Ace Combat. It's probably another game I want to play soon. Project Wingman has caught my interest after replaying Ace Combat 7 Unknown Skies. Cause holy shit, that game gets me going. And I thought about playing Cyberpunk. Cause I love Cyberpunk 2077. It gives me like Fallout 3. I mean, it's not exactly like Fallout 3, but it's like, damn. This takes me back to a time of a game where I felt like I genuinely enjoy and felt very addicted to. Yeah, I can feel that, but bro, you can get GTA 6, like if you bought it early, you can go viral, but you gotta wait half a year. Oh yeah, because GTA 6 got pushed back. Which, let's be fair, I think that was expected. I think people not realizing GTA 6 was always going to get pushed back. The reason I say that it was always going to get delayed was because the game is too big. The game is too big for its own good. It has too much content. I would even say graphically it may be more similar to current game, but for the massive scale they're going for and what they're trying to do for it, but also from what I remember, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard somewhere that Rockstar did lay off a lot of their workers. So it's probably due to underpower, right? And let's be fair, and I'm going to straight up say that for what it's worth. How many of those people who were employed by Rockstar were actual game developers who were there? I'm just going to straight up say that for what it's worth. Like, how many of those people were there for DEI hire? How many of those people were not even there there exactly DEI hire, but like how many of those people were just hired for any amount of reasoning? And Rockstar had to, is that a monkey? Ooh. But yeah, and so I think Rockstar realized that, like, first out, they have a big game that is gonna blow other games in the out of the market. But the problem is, if they release it too early, it's gonna be a Cyberpunk 27 situation where it's a great game under the hood, but it's so poorly done by its release date that it can actually tank Rockstar, right? Because Rockstar announced that the game cost them around like what, close to $1 billion. It is reportedly being said to be the most expensive game out there. Which is, yeah, well, the game cost $2 billion. The layout will be a smart move. Well, so yeah, well, the game cost $2 billion. Oh, is it $2 billion? I thought it was only $1 billion. But I mean, like I would never imagine. Like, let me be real. My whole time being a gamer, alright, I've seen big games over the years, because as GTA 6 released, it would be the game of the year. The thing is, it's not that it's going to be the game of the year. It has to be the game of the year. Because if GTA 6 fails and bombs on release date, that's it. Rockstar is doomed. They're like, you can't recover from a lot. Like, it isn't like Disney where they can recover from a loss, right? Disney, like, let's say like a movie, like in Disney, some of the Disney movies have bombed in the past, right? The new Cinderella movie bombed, but they can pull from other media to make up their loss. Rockstar does not have that, right? Rockstar does not have that on hand. They cannot. They have no choice but to make this the best game ever, and they saw how people were responding. even if it was over exaggerated, they realized that they have to make this game perfect, right? And we don't know, and by that logic, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know, bro. I'm getting two vibes. Either games will explode or will be the greatest loss of all time. It can go both ways. It seriously can go both ways. Because on one hand, like how many games, like Ubisoft, right? Most of Ubisoft games have currently bombed the market, right? They are to the point where Ubisoft is losing money. Ubisoft stock prices have completely collapsed at this rate, and they're about to be sold. Like Ubisoft is about to be completely it's going to be bought up by different companies, right? And in the next what, like in the next, I want to say the next like what 4 or 5, no, like probably the next 2 or 3 years, there won't be a Ubisoft that's independent. It's going to be bought by a different company, and at the rate things are going, I'm sorry, but I think Ubisoft kind of deserves it, right? They have been making bad game after bad game, or not even promising the product that we were promised, and it resulting in Ubisoft collapse. And I'm not the only one who has been saying this for years. I mean, if you really want to think about it, this goes back 10 years ago, right? When when the first Watch Dogs game came out, that game bombed. That game more or less promised a whole lot of stuff, and we never got it. Graphically, believe it or not, the actual graphic for the games were hidden within the files of the actual game, right? And the problem is Ubisoft has this bad tendency to promise us a whole bunch of games, a whole bunch of stuff, and then they never deliver. They just never deliver. How many times has Ubisoft promised all this stuff and yet they never once delivered? So because of that, it makes sense for Ubisoft to collapse, and Rockstar is seeing what's going on with Ubisoft, and they're like, we cannot let this happen. We cannot let this fail, because if GTA 6 fail, they're going down the same route as Ubisoft, right? It doesn't matter if they make up their money later through GTA 6 Online. If they lose that money on that date, the day the game releases, and they don't make up, even if they're hoping at least within the first week they make even, like you break even, and that's perfectly if you prefer story games or online multiplayer. I prefer story games. I prefer RPGs. I prefer a long game with a good story. Right? That's what I always prefer. Right? Because multiplayer relies on, like, to be real, I think multiplayer is good, but like it just relies on the actual multiplayer game being good, with actually kind of relies on the single player experience being good as well, right? Like I would even say, like, currently the best game to play right now, and I'm probably gonna have to die in this hill, is what is it? The best game I would say currently to play right now is Call of Duty 6. Maybe some people would disagree with me, but I think Call of Duty 6 is probably the best game to play right now. I don't know what I've not played the campaign for it. That's my own fault. But I would probably die on that hill that currently right now the best multiplayer game to play right now that is like solid is Call 6, a Black Ops 6. Right? Because like I feel like when I play Call of Duty 6, I feel like I'm not getting fucked over by the company. I don't feel like I'm getting fucked over by random patches. I don't feel like I'm getting boned for a game that I was promised and then never got. That's how I feel when I play COD 6. You're getting what you're paying or what you're renting, and that's it. And for a lot of people, I think that's perfectly fine. Maybe some would disagree with me. The fuck is this steel anyway? Is it like steel? Yeah. Because when you look at when you look at current games, like I would say some maybe like right now, like I think the one game I want to play that requires some level of multiplayer is probably Helldivers 2. That's probably the one game I want to play right now, but I just never got around to it. That's probably one game I want to play right now. It's Helldivers 2, and I heard a lot of good things about Helldiver. I just realized I have 2 streams going on. Oh, well, I'll figure it out later. But that's how I feel, and I'm very... I would say confidently that I'm very passionate about gaming as a whole, right? Especially given that I didn't really play a lot of games growing up. So for me, when I play a game, I want that game to be good. I want that game to be what I'm promised, right? I don't want to feel like I'm spending, I don't feel like I want to spend $40 or $50 for a game that's completely useless and doesn't guarantee me anything. Like the last game I felt that wasn't even worth half the price or even on a sale was Dawn of War 3. It's not a bad game, but it's not a good game. It's just mediocre. It's very mid in the worst possible way. And I played mid games where there's something about them I still go back to, right? I would even say that to some extent, like Fallout 3 is a probably mid game compared to Fallout New Vegas, but I still go back every so often to play Fallout 3. Right? That's something we will probably do. We will eventually play some Fallout 3 because I can go for some Fallout 3 right about now. Guys don't understand Growlithe. Is Growlithe an electric type? Let's fucking go. I just realized I didn't even hit the fast forward button. Oh, you're fire. Are you? Then why even make it a fire? Okay, I don't even know anymore. I give up. I give up. My logic doesn't make sense. Oof. I'm a little tired. Sorry, guys. It's almost 12 o'clock. Usually around this time, I will be watching a little bit of Rewind Cafe with Ken. What was I? Something dealing with Billy and oh my god, I can't remember what I was gonna say. But yeah, we're talking about the whole Billy and Nightmare situation. I want to go back into that. I may just do a video. If I make a video later on the day, it's probably gonna be about the Billy and Nightmare situation. Which is like, on one hand, you have a guy, you have Nightmare, who is very passionate and very much love his culture and his people. On the other hand, you have Billy, who's an American, so take that with a grain of salt. Right? When we're talking about locales. Yeah, because I mostly focus on Local Live and the LCU as a whole, which is sometimes it kills me. It physically kills me to talk about the LCU. And I'm kind of glad that Cafe is doing Rewind, or at least their interpretation of Rewind. It's funny because I don't even give a shit about Billy or even yeah, you can call me. I don't give a shit. Yeah, my phone went off. But ooh, that was not what I wanted. But yeah, I think I can keep talking about that one. So as I was saying, you have two people who are very much opposite ends of each other, and yet they're friends. I would probably still stand by Nightmare's side, knowing that I kind of get where he's coming from someone who comes from a house of immigrants. It's like, I get it. I 100% get it. But at the same time, you gotta deal with people. But then again, at the end of the day, they're all locals, right? Each and one of them are locals in their own right. Each and one of them are local for a reason. Billy more or less is like, for me, I feel like Billy's response was he had to go in a very defensive manner, because if he gives any leeway, then it makes him look weak. And like everybody's interpretation of Billy is like, oh, Billy is this funny or wisecracking, he doesn't stand down. But I feel like if when you give Billy a bit of pressure, he starts to crack just a little bit. And I feel like he doesn't know how to handle that. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably more of the Rewind audience may disagree with me. At the same time, you can't take away somebody's culture or their language or away from them, and people are gonna respond. I mean, in a way, like, you know, the way Nightmare came at Billy was very tame from my perspective. I've seen people go full on aggressive mode. So in a way, I think Nightmare went easy. In a way, I think they both went easy on. Well, not even that they went both easy on each other. I just think Billy was like, he was more hurt, because I think I said in my video, I think what it was Nightmare chose his culture and his people over Billy, and Billy took a really offense to that, where it's like, well, people are always gonna choose their folk before anybody else, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Humans are very tribalistic creatures. We are bound by our tribe. We are bound by our creed or our civilization or our ethos, right? We are bound by that, and you can't take that away from people, right? I don't, in a way, I agree with Nightmare. Maybe he's shrimp, but like, what do you expect in the LCU? How many times we seen different hosts go at each other bombastically, you know, to the point where, let's be real, if they were doing it at a real life job, they probably would have gotten fired, right? I don't really care what people have to say. I think most people would have gotten fired, right? I think people would have gotten fired the way, like, you know, how things are, right? Because I think if Billy was working at a regular job and he says something like that, I think he probably would have gotten fired, or he would have been reprimanded, because people would have been like, "Ooh, it comes off a little racy," if you know what I mean. And whether or not Welsh is a dead language, that's not my opinion to give out, right? I don't think that's something I'm gonna really talk about, whether or not is Welsh is dead language. I mean, in a way, I probably would say it kind of. I wouldn't say it's a dead language, because that's very stupid. It's more like it's a language that people are not speaking. It's a language people are not. I can learn flamethrower? Hell yeah! Let's fucking go. I would say, if anything, it's a language that isn't spoken a lot, like Celtic, right? Or not a lot, not Celtic, Gaelic, my bad. Gaelic was the one I'm thinking of, right? And so, to Nightmare, you can't take that away from him. And he's going to get offended. He's going to go aggressive on you. What are you going to do in that situation? You can't blame the man for being the way he is. I if anything, I respect Nightmare for going the way he did towards Billy. I probably would have done the same in most situations, right? If I was like a Native American. And like, some people are like, well, I wasn't offended. Well, you're not offended, but somebody else. And like, I've always said it is, right? I always will die in this hill that I think I don't really believe in freedom that much. I'm very agnostic, especially when it's coming to American freedom. Right? And I always believe that one person's freedom ends where another person starts. I always will believe that. And that's the same with comedy. Comedy is sort of in the same hole where one person, what one person sees as funny ends where another person doesn't see it funny. And that's always a tricky situation, and you can't, I guess in a way, you really can't force people to accept that, because people will fight against you. It's sort of this weird paradox, right, within American culture, where like there's a sense of like everybody needs to accept this freedom-loving mentality, but then the problem at the same time, I guess at the same time, like, are you forcing people to accept that freedom. It's a weird, I wouldn't even say paradox, maybe even hypocritical. But I'm not here to really like judge that, I guess. I'm just here to give out my opinion on the situation, and I think, I'm gonna probably side with Nightmare on this. Maybe just because the background I come from, I can relate to Nightmare's position. And maybe that makes me a bit of a wimp. Personally, I don't really give a shit, because I can understand where Nightmare's coming from. Right? I don't know, the issue is more, and if anything, I feel like this particular issue is much more grander than me, right? Because then it goes into like racial stuff, then it goes into ethno stuff, and history. I mean, like obviously, like Nightmare did pick one situation of like Welsh kids being abused by the British, but like at the same time, I guess this opinion is gonna get me a lot of shit. The thing about it, and the thing about history as a whole, is the end goal is to conquer your enemies, to make them submit. I feel like, at that point, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? What are you supposed to do in that situation? Are you supposed to, obviously you can fight against your conquerors, you can rebel against them, but they conquer you for a reason at that period of time. Maybe it was because politically you were not strong, militarily you were not strong, maybe your population was just so splintered. Maybe there wasn't a strong cultural identity that you think there was, and that has happened in history, where there's a culture, but it isn't really unified until they're conquered. We've seen that before, right? Or there's a force that's so grand that it's a threat to your people. Like we saw it with the Romans against against the Gauls, right? The Gauls were a splinter force of various tribes throughout France, Spain, and parts of Germany. And then when Julius Caesar's war against them came around, a lot of them banded. Would that last long? Probably not, right? It's not as, compared to the German tribes, which were more, I would say more, it's generally much more better structured than the Gauls. I don't know. Again, I think a lot of this stuff is way over even the Locale Live universe stuff, right? I think I feel like the LCU, because of where they're at, I feel like they're not in a position to really talk about stuff like that without people like going in hard. And that because of that situation, I'm just like, this is something that goes further beyond this network of people. And if they want to talk about it, they can talk about it. But I don't expect like, I'll be real. I don't expect like high intelligent IQ counters. I expect everybody to curse at each other, threaten each other, say weird stuff at each other, and then like the next day be hunky dory. Like I have zero expectation of anything to come out of this. But also because but I think also because I think also because, oh my god, I forgot my train of thought. Maybe because of they're all wanting to be a family, because one of the main goals of the LCU is everybody has to be a family. Everybody has to have each other back. You can have your beef, but that beef has to end eventually so it doesn't affect the whole network. And I feel like in most situations the Billy Nightmare stuff would have blown out very differently if they were not co-workers. And I think that's also an issue, is like, because you treat your co-workers like your family, where do you, how many Pokemon do I even have? Oh yeah, I have Ambipom, I forgot about that. Where do you stop that? Where do you have a line where, no, I'm not gonna let you talk about that, and no, I don't like that. I mean, we saw it with ZayZuda and One Buff Weed, right? There's certain things that One Buff Weed is not allowed to talk about, and there's certain things that ZayZuda cannot talk about, right? They're just, there's just a certain limit. Oh yeah, we gotta go down the stairs to go get the coin case. That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm trying to come across, is that there's a clear line, and I think we're seeing that, right? I think in the LCU we are seeing lines being drawn where I don't like this and I don't think this is funny. Please don't cross it. And I think somebody like Billy, are you gonna be steel? Sludge, you're poison. You're still poison. Okay, you're still poison. So I'm too bad. I thought it was gonna be steel for a second, but it's still poison. Okay. I'm thinking. I don't know why. I thought it was sludge. I thought it was muck. Oh wow, my brain's so hot. Not very effective. What the fuck? Is this still a steel type? Interesting. Interesting development. Gotta go. No. But yeah, that's how I interpret things like that, right? It puts them in a weird situation they don't like to be in, but they have to be in, because so many of these people work with each other. They have no choice but to accept certain. I mean, like, there's something. Smudge, you gonna be poisoned? Watch you. Are you poisoned? Are you gonna be fire? Watch you be fire. Watch me. Oh, it's gonna be poison. But that's what I'm saying, right? End of the day, you know, a lot of these guys are in a position that they normally would not be in. Now, I do think that, you know, there was also one Buff Wheat and he got involved. My opinion on that is I think One Buff should have just stayed out of it, but he has his reasoning to get involved because him and Billy are friends, right? They know each other, they've talked, right? You know, One Buff has Billy to thank him for getting the job he has currently now. So I can respect that One Buff has a obligation, right? One Buff has an obligation to stand by Billy's side. And there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe some people may hate me for that, but there's nothing wrong with that because of his obligation towards his friend. Are you gonna be a dark type? Watch you be dark. His obligation to him. Obviously, like One Buff brought up, oh, my grandma spoke Swahili, and there's a word as asked. I'm like, okay, but not everything gotta be a. I don't know. I guess in my head, maybe because my opinions on it had changed. Alright, my opinion on this has changed quite a bit. I'm probably gonna say something that many people may not like. I think making a dirty joke out of everything is just stupid. I can't remember. There's a book that goes on about how, like, eventually, like, you know, when a man make dirty sex jokes about everything, there's something kind of wrong with that person, or there's something going on in his life that he's missing. And I think there's valid, because I was like that during COVID. I would make a dirty joke or sexual joke constantly, and then, like, my friend was pointing that out, like, I think you have a problem. I'm like, I don't got a problem, man, I'm perfectly fine. I did actually, mostly because I kind of had no real purpose halfway through COVID, halfway through that period of that time, so I kind of diverged and became a degenerate for a bit of time because of that. Kind of glad I'm like recovering from that, because, like, yeah, it wasn't a great time. Oh no! Oh, I have it confusing. I don't know why my headphone was picking up a weird noise. Could be something completely different. I have a dog at the park. We haven't even fought the gym yet. We're just here training. Maybe a little boring, but you know, I like talking through this. Right, there's a lot of things that I can talk about, like the whole Becky situation currently going on, right? Normally I would do a normal stream, but I think I'm gonna just move those type of streams. Are you a steel type? Or are you gonna be a rock? That didn't really answer my question. That didn't answer my question at all. It's electric. Well, that makes it even worse. I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably move all the LCU stuff onto this particular, unless there's something really big that's going on in the LCU. I think I'm gonna just start moving a lot of that stuff over to these gaming stuff because I feel like that's better on me. Right? Because I won't lie, it does take quite a bit of energy out of me to cover a lot of the LCU stuff. It just kind of, at some point, it takes a lot of energy just to watch like almost sometimes straight up like a couple-minute video. Right into Weeping Bell. This is now my ace in the hole. No. No. Ice Beam. Aurora Beam. It's weird. I get a whole host of interesting moves that literally covers my ass. Interesting development. It was a very interesting development. God damn. But yeah, yes. But yeah, that's what I mean, right? That's what I, you know, with the Becky situation, did she not quit Queens? We'll have to wait tonight. If anything, maybe I'll check now on my phone if she actually, like, what's the new thumbnail, because they're probably going through a trial period. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so it does look like Becky is sort of gone from PTA. Yeah, so it looks like right now as we speak, it looks like Becky is gone from Queens temporarily. And they have such a wow, Dolls has a shitty thumbnail. Holy shit. Okay. In the case of Becky leaving the obviously Becky didn't leave the LCU. She's never gonna leave the LCU, and I honestly don't really blame her. I think a lot of people want her to leave the LCU, both her fans and the audience. Personally, I don't think she's ever gonna leave the LCU, and I think she made up her mind, which is funny because she says she'll never quit. She'll only leave if she gets fired. Yet she left Queens. I guess that happened. You know, in the end of the day, it's Becky, and if you're expecting like high IQ intelligence from Becky, probably not. Don't expect that. So probably gonna pull the, well, I'm only pretending to be retarded, and it's like that makes you actually worse, cause it didn't even came up as funny as you think. You know. But you know, that's my opinion on that. I do think in a way Becky should. She's never gonna leave the LCU. She's never gonna leave the LCU, and she's just there permanently. So yeah, she makes too much money for her to leave the LCU, and people have to finally accept that Becky is gonna be stuck in the LCU. Right, and anytime she's threatened to leave, she never leaves. It's just her freaking out because she gets highly emotional. Right, she puts up this front. Remember, for a while she put up this front of I don't care, fuck you. Now she reverted it to just being very emotional. It could be due to just because Rastov got the third host position in the LCL. And she was very offended because like she didn't get that position, even though at the end of the day you got your show because of links, and also because you just happened to be dating or be in some weird relationship with RTU, and you try to make it out, and people were calling you out and pointing out clear evidence of your lies as far back at the RTU saga against the LCL. Saying LCL like that sounds like Neon Genesis, and I think I want to do a Neon Genesis video. We will do a Neon Genesis video eventually, guys. I've been wanting to do a Neon Genesis video. I've been wanting to build one of those Neon Genesis model kits. So we may have to do this sooner or later. Sorry for the yawning, guys. I'm a little tired. I'm a little grumpy tired. But yeah, that's what I mean, right? That's what I mean in the end. Now, oh god, what are they supposed to do? Is it going to the gym? Zubat's almost at level 20. Let me get some potions. Wish we had a run button like if this was clear crystal. But that's how I see it. I think in the end of the day, she won't leave. And if she left Queen, go for it. And it kind of makes sense for her to leave Queens because there's always been this clear split, this clear division among Tina fans and Becky fans. And we're gonna see what the numbers are gonna show, because I would say that most of the people that watch Queens, I wouldn't really say they're Becky fans. I mean, a lot of them are Becky fans, but I think those numbers are a lot smaller than what she thinks, right? Becky probably thinks she has a bigger audience. In reality, I think the number is way, way, way smaller. Right, I think the number is way much smaller, especially the die-hard fans. And I think the Queen fans who watch Queens for Queens, regardless who's there, just want to see a show. They want to watch something. Whether or not Tina is going to be competent enough at entertain people, we'll have to wait and see. I personally think that regardless of their problems with each other, I think Becky and Tina were good for each other in the sense that they both helped each other run a show, right? Becky did the technical stuff and Tina did the Tina stuff, and it worked for the dynamic. But because Tina was so, and I mean, like, Tina had said this a number of times that she straight up does not like Becky. She straight up despises Becky. She finds Becky to be impulsive, like not impulsive. But you know what I mean. Like, she finds everything that Becky does to be the opposite of her. She does not like Becky. She finds Becky's whole existence basically as dirt. And in a weird way, it's so weird because, like, Tina has no ground to stand on, but neither do Becky, right? Like I said in my video, I find their relationship to be very abusive, like a mother-daughter type of deal. Because it's true, you can tell that Becky no one ever said no to Becky, and her parents, right? I wouldn't be surprised if the reason she even went to Harvard, because Becky said she's the only child, so I wouldn't be surprised if the reason I feel like it wasn't like that. The reason probably she went to Harvard was because her family just had the money, and if she had a kid, right? I think if Becky had a sibling, I don't think she would have went to Harvard. She probably would have went to a whole different school altogether. And I think that's a very clear difference. I think that's a very obvious thing. Where I think Tina has always had the feeling of being looked down. People have said no to her a number of times. She had to, however, mean to survive. So in my head, it just kind of makes sense for the way that both are, and they're just sort of the opposite, and you can't fix that. You cannot fix what can't work, right? You can't fix, in my opinion, you cannot fix what just doesn't want to be fixed, right? It's to the point where neither of them want to work with each other. It's to the point where both hate each other. It's to the point where Becky literally threatening Tina with IRL stuff, which is hilarious given the whole situation with Savage. And it's sad because Savage is gone, and I think in a weird way, Savage leaving was probably the best thing that Becky ever got out of it. And you know what? It is what it is. You know. Sorry guys, my heart attacked enough. I'm having a bad cancer day, as Boogie would say. But yeah, you know, they're very clear. There's a clear dynamic between the two of them, and it shows based on their upbringing, right, and the way they live. Because Becky is your stereotypic like New Yorker, uptown New Jersey type of girl who never really, maybe she experienced some suffering, but not to the extent that Tina has, right? And there's a clear, you can see that in the way they both are, the way they both act, some of the information I gathered throughout the last couple of weeks, or the last couple, actually last day or two. I gathered some information about Becky that is interesting, and that shaped my opinion. And I think, you know, whether people like it or not, you know, it's because Becky comes from a, you know, uptown living. She's an uptown girl. What that uptown? Billy Joel. I love me some Billy Joel. But yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know what else can be said between the two of them, or that hasn't been said. You know, I don't see their relationship getting any better. I don't see them. I can use confusing final. I don't see their relationship getting better, and it'd be a miracle if it ever recovers. Right? It'd be a miracle if it ever becomes whole again, and it probably won't. They hate each other to such an extent that there's no way to save their relationship, and maybe for the better. You know, people may not like this, but it's for the better. Maybe it's better to keep their. It is probably better to keep them separated, you know, because it will eventually turn bloody, and I don't mean that like literally, because they probably will turn bloody, but I mean like. It's gonna get to a point where Becky's gonna say something that is like unforgivable, and Tina, it's only gonna retaliate in the same manner, and it's just gonna blow up into a much worse situation than it is. And when the time that happened, it'd be too late. There's nothing you can do. And worst case scenario, it's Queen literally being shut down because of what Becky and Tina said to each other. And you know, at that point, they'll probably both get fired. Or they'll both be moved to different shows because Queen got nuked to the ground. And then Michael is gonna get pissy. And let's be fair, I think Michael and Tina don't care for each other. They both use each other for whatever means. And we've seen it a number of times. It's also funny how Tina flip-flopped between being loyal to Keemstar and being loyal to Mike. Saying like, I'm loyal to Mike, and then next minute like, well, I'm not gonna leave if Mike leave, but then the next minute after that is like, well, I'll leave if Mike leave, and it's like, okay, it's like, fucking leave, I don't give a shit. Like, you know, I don't think if Mike leaves, right, I don't think that show is gonna be successful because Mike is probably too fucking incompetent. But the issue is because both Tina and Becky hate each other, what it's gonna just stop from Becky just leaving that show and going back to LCU, which is probably gonna end up happening. So probably stay there for a month or two. That show is just gonna crumble and fall. Then they're all gonna go back to the LCU because that's the only place they can decently make money and they have an audience. You know, what are you gonna do in the end of the day with that? And then Michael is gonna try to pull some fake stuff, and it's gonna come out that it's all fake, and it's just gonna be like, okay, no one wants to watch the scripted stuff. Because I think the reason why people like Queens is because you see other hosts come in. Let's finish this gym up, and I'll probably end the stream from here. Because I'm probably gonna need to take a nap. Yeah. For a second, I thought my dog walked over. Sorry. Yeah, the water. Ooh. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know what you can do. I don't think it's worth saving their relationship. I would let them just split off and do their own thing on individual shows, and just go for it, right? If Becky feels happier and more safer on a different show than, let's say, Queens, let her move to a different show where she feels like she has more control, or at least she feel like she's not gonna be mad. Because we all know that somebody like Roxy, it's gonna be controlled by Becky at all times. We all know that Becky's just gonna use Roxy for what she's worth, and we all know that, and I don't think anybody cares. I don't think anybody actually feels bad for Roxy. Let's be real. I don't think anybody's gonna feel bad for Roxy. Because that, why would they? Why would they feel bad for Roxy? Because so a lot of people, Roxy lied, but so does Becky. I don't know. It's a match made in hell, I guess. It's not a match made in heaven. It's a match made in hell. Yawning a lot. I may have to get sleep. Either I need more sleep or I need more coffee. But the way my body's acting feels like I need more. I'm probably gonna take a quick 30-minute or continue my day. Oh, it's also ice type? Nah, I didn't know that was ice type. It's pretty cool. Coffee. Is it a normal type? I think it's flying in normal. Oh yeah, it was. I was correct again. My team is so unbalanced. My team is so fucked. Okay, we're gonna move Weeping Bell. We're gonna move Quilava. I think that's good. Probably. That's what I need to do. Alright. Let's go. Polygon. That's not right effect. Okay, so that didn't. Not good. Not good. Not good at all. Aurora Beam. No shit, it wasn't very effective. Snubble. Gonna switch that with the main key. Alright, we're gonna use some Leer. It should be fighting type as well. Alright, cool. I wonder if Mankey has Spore. That'd be actually pretty rad. Then that puts me in a better event. That gives me a massive advantage. Absorb. Alright, we're good. If it bulks up again, we are screwed. What? Oh no. No. Oh yeah, because Snowball was fighting type. Okay. Oh, Manatee. What the fuck? Okay. Oh, we got at least one later. What are we gonna do is we are going to give it a super potion. And we are going to let it do some chip damage. And then we're gonna have Weeping Bell come in with an Aurora Beam, and we should be A-okay. Okay, yep. That was its milk tank. How do we evolve? I think you need to use a stone to evolve Weeping Bell. We're gonna probably evolve it in the next episode. It's the next part of the shark. Well, there it goes. There goes my plan for the day. Never mind. Okay, come on. We gotta redo this shit every single time. Come on, give me my dumb badge. The plain badge. Nothing was plain about this battle. Right. And that's the end. We're gonna probably heal up. If I know how the hell to get that. I am professional, ladies. And my dog is barking. I think we're gonna end up here. Thank you all for watching. And until next time, God bless.